This is a 6mm tile drill that matches the raw plug that came in the shower set. So this is for the top fitting for the shower. So if you put it up on the wall, mark where you need to drill the holes. Then what I do is start the hole off and go through the tile, and then once I've done that with both the holes, I will change the drill bit to a 6mm wood drill bit. That's the 6mm drill bit, and then I've taped around where the raw plug will come out, so it's just easier if you're not sure about how deep to go for a marker. So the shower fitting, as we go on you will see it, but I practically lost a whole day out of my life trying to find the right fittings for the pipework because I needed to extend it. I'm not a plumber, I've never worked on any pipework, so I didn't have a clue. So my recommendation, if you don't want to lose a day, is to record in the hole what you need to do, what the length is that you need to expand that length by, and measure the width of what you need it to go in. Then take that to a hardware shop or a plumber's and explain to them what you need to do, because the fitting they gave me in the shower was useless. I needed a straight joint for 150mm standard shower T-bar and I couldn't find it. So once you've drilled your holes, if you put the raw plugs in and then just gently tap with the hammer, they'll go straight in. Then just put the screws in the fitment and then just screw them straight into the wall. It shouldn't take you too long because obviously everything's already in place. Don't over tighten it though. So as you can see the screw going in, just slow down towards the end. Otherwise if you go too far you'll crack the plastic fittings, which is what most of these are in a shower. So just take your time, and as long as it's tight everything should be fine. So once you've got that bit, I just check with a level. Also do it on the upright. Make sure when you put that in it's straight. I should have mentioned that before. Then you're ready for the pipes. So I've obviously had to extend the copper pipe in. There was no welding with this. You can get fittings now that you can just put olives in and it'll squash the joint, so you don't need any welding. I just need to cut the pipe work off now, which is what I'm doing. So I've had to turn the water off, just making sure there's no water left in the system. Just slightly missed it there. So I find if you use a jug, if you put the actual end of the jug where you pour from underneath there, it will go under it exactly. And again with the other one, which was fine. Because as I say, I've never done plumbing, and these stop joints I'd never used before, and they're push-on stops that you can repeatedly use time and time again. So now I've got to cut the pipe, and this is a pipe cutter. So I've already marked on there where I need to cut it off, but I couldn't get a good grip on it because it'd come out of the wall. So all you do is literally just twist it. It doesn't take much effort other than going around a couple of times the right way for the pipe to cut. It's a really simple way of doing it. And as I say, this is the first time I've messed around with any shower pipes or any sort of pipes at all. So yeah, I was on a massive learning curve. But as you can see, that's a clean cut. It was easier with the second one because it was in the wall. It was just easier to go around it. Then you put the lock-in fitment back on the front of it and just tighten it up with a wrench. So this is me cutting the second one. As you can see, it's a lot easier when it's on a wall. It doesn't shift. So again, I just cut it to the mark that I had. That will just pop off, and then you just put the outside fitment back on with the olive that's in it to squash the pipe work on there so it can't come out. It's a really simple thing. Trouble was this shower ended up costing me a small fortune, and I needed to remove 3 different parts from 2 different sets to be able to get the fittings that I needed. It drove me nuts. And anyone that's chased parts for a day will know exactly what I'm talking about right now. So once they're in place and secure, what I'm doing is siliconing in there before I put the cover plate on it, because obviously you don't want any water getting in there and getting behind your pipework, because it's just going to rot it. So just take your time. Again, I've never done this before, and I've only ever put any silicone on anything a couple of times, so it's just a bit of case of taking your time and just filling the gap and putting as much as you can. And if you feel that it's dropping out, just let it set and then go back to it. There's no rush to do this. So put as much as you can get in there, and then I started on the next one, and then I had a device that I could then make it a smoother finish, and I found a wet finger just to make sure that it was completely smooth is the best thing ever. So that's the joint. That's designed for curved surfaces. I also find wet wipes are the best thing to wipe the residue of silicone on, so it doesn't stick to everything. And again, just take your time. Again, becomes frustrating when it starts moving. I think at this point it was easy for me to just lick my finger, because it doesn't stick then. Buy all these tools and the best things are your fingers. Finished product. So it's 20 minutes to touch dry and 24 before you can shower. Also, if you want to save the silicone, if you put a screw down the top of it, it should last for months. So then it's time to put the shower on. I find if you screw one end and then the other, it's easy to manoeuvre then. There's also 2 washers in this, so you don't need any white plumber's tape. So once you've got the T-bar on and you've tightened it up, you then just need to make sure you use a wrench to tighten it up as tight as it can go. I find if you put a cloth over the joint and do it that way, you won't mark the bolts as you're making it as tight as you can. And again with the other side, it's just easier to use that if you just lift it every couple of times just to see how many more turns you have to go, because you haven't got to put any plumbing tape on these at all, because they've got the washers in there. You should just be able to tighten it up and they'll be fine. But again, I've never done this before, so I was just taking my time, making sure it was tight, because obviously at this point the water's still not on and I didn't want any leaks when it did go on. So I'm now attaching the top bar with the washer that was in the pack, which is what we did the fitments for. So I think at this point I tried to screw it in, realised I couldn't get the top part in, so I had to re-undo it so I could get enough play out the top to then reattach that afterwards. As I say, it's the first time and we never ever get it first time right. So as I say, as long as you take your time, read the instructions, which I didn't have because I think the kids had taken them, then you'll be okay. And again, screw the other fitment on, make sure it fits. I started off by sticking these the wrong way round, so I had to remove them and do it the right way round. So once you've got those in place, just make sure again you tighten it, put the cloth over it so it doesn't mark it, and then you should be good to go. And here's the finished product.